Hello, everyone. Welcome to the current state of preservation evoker on the Midnight Alpha. Because this is the first video I make about the spec like on my own, we're gonna very quickly do a recap of everything that has changed. So, listing things up. Spirit Bloom is gone, Emerald Communion is gone, and Gulf is gone. Lifevine no longer echoes. We do no longer have an interrupt. Call of Zero is not a passive. Tempo Charge is now a passive. Stasis is a choice node with Dreamflight. Renewing Blaze is now a passive tied to Obsidian Scales. And those are like the main big points of things that have changed. But obviously, when you do changes as big as those, there's more things that you have to change to accommodate the new stuff, right? So, for example, Spiritual Clarity, which used to reduce a Spirit Bloom cooldown, now reduces Dream Breath, of course. Tempo Charge, the new Tempo Charge now increases bronze healing effects by 15% instead of depending on your stacks of temporal compression. Call of Isarage is always active and buffs Dream Breath and Living Flame by a smaller amount. We have a new Inner Radiance talent to replace the Interrupt, which increases Living Flame and Emerald Blossom healing on yourself. We have new Capstone talents. We have a choice node for Burn and Embrace, which is Dream Simulacrum, which increases Burn and Embrace healing by 40%, and you no longer fly to the target, but instead set a clone of yourself. And we have Wings of Liberty, which gives you a second charge of Burn and Embrace. We have the Twin Echoes node, which makes that every Emerald Blossom that you cast makes your next Echo apply 2 Echoes to 2 different allies. For the hero talents on Plane Shaper, we have Engulf remove and replaced by Legacy of the Lifebinder, which makes Dream Breath and Fire Breath have 2 charges. And we have Consume Flame rework, which now works on Burden Embrace and Emerald Blossom. And it's now only single target. If you Burden Embrace someone or heal them with Emerald Blossom, only that target gets Consume Flame healing on themselves and gets their own Dream Breath consumed for themselves. On the Chrono Warden side, we have lost Threads of Fate. Threads of Fate was this augmentation like buff that we have during Temporal Burst, where casting an Empower during Temporal Burst apply Threads of Fate to an ally and you replicated a part of the damage. That is gone, has been replaced by Nosdormus Adept, which reduces the cooldown on Temporal Anomaly and reduces the mana cost. And all the nodes that work with Spirit Bloom have been replaced to work with Burden Embrace. So Burden Embrace now leaves a heal over time, and the heal over time from Burden Embrace is what gives you the haste buff. And we also know our tier set now. Our tier set works with Burden Embrace. The 2-piece increases Burden Embrace healing by 20% and reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds. And the 4-piece makes Burden Embrace cast a full power Blossom on the target of your Burden Embrace. So this is a bunch of stuff, and I'm gonna go through a bunch of points about what it means, right? So we no longer have Engulf. So Flame Shaper has been completely changed, basically. The main point of it is now giving you 2 charges of Dream Breath and Fire Breath, of course, and the new Consume Flame. So Consume Flame is now single target, which means you have to trigger the Consume Flame on the specific targets you want to heal. Which means if you want to use Consume Flame to do AoE healing like we used to, you need to either Burden Embrace or Blossom a bunch of people to trigger Consume Flame on each target, right? Obviously, Blossom is easier because if you throw a Blossom, you heal 5 targets, so those 5 targets will get consumed if they have a Dream Breath. But it's weaker because Emerald Blossom only consumes 2 seconds of Dream Breath, while Burden Embrace consumes 4. You can also echo Burden Embrace to trigger Consume Flame on people. And Consume Flame is not tied to the strength of the Burden Embrace or Blossom you use to proc it, right? So if you echo Burden Embrace with Temporal Anomaly, which is a weaker Burden Embrace, it doesn't matter. You still get full value Consume Flame as it was a normal Burden Embrace, because it doesn't care about the BE, it just only cares about the Dream Breath, right? So normally getting an extra charge of a spell, it's not like super useful, because you're not actually gaining that many more usages of the spell during a fight. Like, for example, if we go to the choice node of Wings of Liberty and Dream Simulacrum, Wings of Liberty is not very good because if we assume that you're gonna be using Burden Embrace on cooldown anyway, you're only really gaining one more uses of it at the start of the fight. Because you're using it on cooldown anyway. Like you don't have time to like full charges, you're just sending him. You obviously here and there will gain a little bit more usages due to not wasting the cooldown. Like you don't need to use it exactly when it's up to keep the cooldown going. But in general, you are not gaining that much. But specifically for Legacy of the Lightbinder tied to Dreambread, when Dreambread is such a big part of your healing, you are actually gaining a lot of value from the second charge of Dreambread because you can pull the charges to use them when it makes sense. Like it's not the same to use one Dreambread at 30 seconds into the fight and the other at 1 minute that using both Dreambreads at 1 minute if the damage actually comes at 1 minute, right? That's way more valuable. So having this long cooldown, having that has 2 charges so you can pull them for the appropriate, that's actually getting you a decent amount of value, especially when you need to heal the whole raid at the same time, and Consume Flame is still very strong. So this lets you get more coverage, right? Because you can use your 2 Dreambreads back to back, and because Dreambread prefers target that don't already have Dreambread, you instantly get 11 people with Dreambread that can be valuable targets for Consume Flame, right? So the 2 charges are very good because they let you get more coverage on Dreambread. You're not necessarily getting more uptime because the cooldown is still 20 seconds with Spiritual Clarity, and because you're using it at rank 1 most of the time, it lasts. The HUD actually lasts longer than what the cooldown is. Like rank 1 Dreambread, because you have Deep Exhalation, which increases Dreambread's hit over time for 6 seconds, and Spiritual Clarity reduces the cooldown by 10 seconds. You actually have a 22-second HUD and a 20-second cooldown, so you're not actually getting coverage if you are using rank 1. You can up rank it to get a little bit more value of the HUD, but yeah, so very good to have 2 charges because you can get way more coverage of the HUD when you exactly need it. And now that we don't have a Spirit Bloom, Spiritual Clarity gains a lot of value because Dreambread is your main empower to heal, right? You're depending on that a lot. If we also add the Apex Talent, I didn't mention the Apex Talent, and I'm assuming we all know that because it's been a long time since it was revealed. Dreambread also procs Meritra's Blessing, right? So every time you Dreambread, you get Meritra's Blessing. So having more Dreambread means more Meritra's Blessing. So it's just compounding. Like instead of having a talent that buffs one empower but not the other, basically you're getting everything that makes you cast more Dreambread is also letting you cast more Meritra. So it's just like double dipping kinda in a way about your healing on your empower and your Apex talent, which is really good. Another thing that has come up a lot is the questions about blossoms. Flutter and Sinlix got buffed a decent bit, so Flutter and Sinlix are better. And Field of Dreams now is 100% chance on every other blossom. Instead of being every blossom has a chance, now it's just like every other just always procs it. So you can, it's more reliable. You know how it's gonna work. You know that the first blossom is 1, the second is 2, the third is 1, the fourth is 2, and so on and so on. You can predict how it's gonna work. Cycle of Life is gone, so you cannot really play around this much. It's just a bonus. But we have some other things that you can definitely play around. For example, Twin Echoes. Twin Echoes makes it so that your Blossom makes your next Echo cast 2 times, right? So in theory, you always want to do this because you could spend your 2 Essence Bursts casting Echo Echo and end up with 2 Echoes. Or you can do a Blossom and then an Echo. And you still end up with 2 Echoes, but you also gain all the healing from the Blossom. And you didn't consume the Echoes because Blossom doesn't consume Echoes, right? So if you play into this talent, you kind of want to weave in your Blossoms and your Echoes, like one in between the other. So you're getting the same amount of Echoes that you were getting before, but you're getting way more healing during the ramp by throwing these extra Blossoms that just do healing and basically for free, right? Because if you're using Essence Burst, they don't cost mana and you will use the Essence Burst in an Echo anyway. So Twin Echoes incentivizes us to do this hybrid thing where you're mixing your usages of Blossom and an Echo a bit to get value out of board. And it's very interesting because it opens up a lot of the talent points. Like Emerald Blossom itself got buffed by a lot, like 100%. So there's just way more value packed into Blossom talents and actually placing Blossom as a bottom, right? It's not. It still has some of the problems it had before, where you need to like actually hit people. So in Mythic Plus, it's a little bit doom. But in raids, hitting 5 people is like not bad at all. Like it's pretty easy to hit 5 people as long as you're throwing it in like the melee stack or the range stack. Even it's not hard to hit 5 people with Twin Echoes, and these people will also be getting healed by Consume Flame when the Blossom heals them. If you have the Dream Breaths out, and everything just plays into itself very well. Like it obviously we haven't tested it yet because there's no raid content to test things on, but it seems like a really fluid playstyle that just flows into itself and makes you use all your spells, and all your spells make your next spell better, and you just like everything should feel really good. Like this, we're very happy with where this is going and how this is looking, because it just seems like a more complete kit that just works well within itself. Like a lot of my issues before with Preservation and Flame Shaper specifically were that the kit felt very disconnected from itself. Like we had the echo ramps, which were you're just throwing a bunch of echoes and consuming them with something, and that felt like one part. And then you had Engulf causing Consume Flame on your Dream Breath, which felt like a second part. And then we had the new tier set, right, with the Essence Bomb that does a lot of healing, but it's like completely separate. But you trigger it by using Engulf, but it has nothing to do with the Engulf itself. You do a completely different thing to do Essence Bomb healing, so it was like a third part. So there was these three parts like competing for your attention of what do you wanna do to heal a certain mechanic, and that always felt a bit bad to me. Like your spell was just disconnected and just splitting parts and competing for your attention, and just kind of really annoying. Like I found it really annoying. I didn't like it. I wasn't having a great time playing it during Mana Forge. But this new style seems like it just combines everything into a way that flows into itself really well. Like you have the blossoms, but your blossoms has to give you echo, and your echo gives you a way to proc Consume Flame. So it's like everything flows better, right? So you are incentivized on doing different things the same way you were before, but now it feels like doing one thing makes the next thing better instead of simply being completely separated, isolated things. Then you might choose one of the other and might ignore one to do the other, or pick between preference and whatever. Now everything is kind of like really tied up, and I think that's great. I think it's a great direction for the spec to 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 take it forwards. I know people hate blossoms in general, like the idea of it, and it's like it's clunky, and I have to aim it, and then I miss people and whatever. And there's a point. There's definitely a point to that. Blossom is like not the greatest spell ever. It has definitely improved since they made it faster and whatever. And but really, the main issue with Blossom was just during the whole of the war with Thing Arrest, it was very bad. It just didn't heal. Making it like buffing it a lot and making the talents to support it way better just kind of fixes that. Like there's this thing in WoW a lot very often where sometimes you think this is bad, it doesn't feel great, I hate this spell, and then they just buff it by like a absurd amount, like 100%, 150%. Then you press it again, and it works the exact same way, but it's just now actually good, and it feels good because it is actually doing its job, and you didn't have to actually change how it works. Now it's just stopped being shit, and it feels good. And I think that is gonna happen with blossoms. Like when people start seeing that you can press blossoms, and blossom actually moves a hellbard and gives you an echo and summons another blossom and causes Consume Flame and all these things, I think people are gonna like it because they're gonna feel that they're pressing the button and the button is doing things and causing healing, and that I think that's gonna flow well. So I'm very excited for the way this playstyle is gonna end up being, and to see what they keep cooking, because there's still a couple of things that need fixing. For example, as I mentioned, they remove Renewing Blaze being an active spell. Right now it's tied to use Obsidian Scale. When you Obsidian Scale, you get Renewing Blaze. But Flame Shaper still has Life Cinder, which is when you Renewing Blaze, someone else has to get Renewing Blaze. So this needs to be reworked a little bit to make sense in the new Renewing Blaze. And similarly for Chrono Warden, they removed Threads of Fate, but we also still have Master of Destiny, which increases the duration of Threads of Fate. So that talent needs a replacement as well. And the talents have to make sense, right? For example, if we're replacing Life Sanders, which is a defensive, the new talent has to be a defensive to compete with Draconic Instinct, which is a defensive. And here, Master of Destiny is competing with Instability Matrix, which reduces the cooldown of your empowers spells, so getting less cooldown on Dream Breath and Fire Breath. So it has to be a throughput node, a relevant throughput node to compete with Instability Matrix. So we're gonna get something spicy here that might be good. So there's still some adjustments to make here and there. But everything is looking good. Like preservation is looking great. Obviously tuning is still TBD, and we will have to wait for actual testing, like ray testing or meticulous or whatever. So we get like actually relevant content where you have to push the healing to the limit, and then we get tuning. But for the time being, all the changes have been positive. They've been pushing the spec into a new direction, but they seem to be very grounded in what that direction they want it to be. Like they want the kit to be more complete. They don't want that buttons, and they want it to be tight but strong, and they have accomplished it so far in the design. And I'm very happy with it. Like this is great. No comments. They just keep cooking, and it's coming out amazing. There's a little bit of things in the class tree that have changed recently that I want to point out that are like not the best, but it's probably not the most important thing. Twin Guardians got removed. So now we cannot shield other people. It's just a movement speed increase when you rescue someone. So yeah, no more shield here. We got the new stretch time talent, which makes you. It's like a time dilation effect when you deep breath, but only when you deep breath. It doesn't work for dream flight, so it's like not super important for preservation. We're probably not gonna end up picking it. They did add a new thing for dream flight where you get an absorb equal to your HP while you fly with dream flight. So you also get a defensive for dream flight, and you don't need the stretch time, which only works on deep breath. They also added the strike from above, which is a pretty good talent that makes you glide and higher and faster. I really like it, but it's gated by stretch time, so it kind of goes to points, which is not the greatest. They rework Unravel. Unravel used to be the active ability that did extra damage to shields, which was bad and we never picked. But now it's just a passive that makes Fire Breath do more damage to shield, which is pretty good. If this is tuned pretty well, we will probably be grabbing it. I like that. And also the regenerative magic here, the Leech talent is now blocked by protected talent, so you're never gonna grab that again because you will never gonna get protected talent. So yeah, forget about the Leech. And that will be pretty much it on the class. It has received a slight changes, mostly to accommodate like the new design decisions here and there. I think they're fine. It's not like amazing. It's not bad. It's just like okay. And our class tree has never been like amazing, so it's just like staying in a similar state. Our spec tree is pretty good, but still has some glaring issues that need to be addressed. For example, these two talents, like Font of Magic, most of the value from Font of Magic came from Spirit Bloom, and now Spirit Bloom is dead. So Font of Magic has lost a lot of value. Like you're probably not gonna pick it ever. And then Power Nexus is just bad. Not only is it blocked after Font of Magic, but also you don't really get any value from one more essence point. So no reason ever to pick it. Spiritual Clarity, which is 10 seconds less cooldown on Dream Breath, which is your main source of healing because it does a lot of healing. It has a lot of talent supporting it, and also procs Meritorious Blessing. Is competing with Empath, which gives you 100% essence regeneration for 8 seconds after you empower, which it's pretty much useless. So you're never gonna pick Empath. Like this is a fake choice. No, you're always gonna pick Spiritual Clarity. No, nothing to do there. What else? Titan's Gifts have been moved to a capstone and buffed a little bit, but it's kind of weird because we're very short on points in this part of the tree, and there's a lot of very good things we always want to grab. So unlikely you end up having the option to get Titan's Gift when you want the new tempo charge because TA is very strong. When you want Twin Echoes because Twin Echoes is great, and stuff like that, it's unlikely you end up having points for Titan's Gift. The B choice now is in a weird situation because if we end up playing Chrono Warden, imagine you playing Chrono Warden and you're echoing B because it's really strong. It has been buffed a lot, it heals for a lot. And if you are Chrono Warden, B also puts a healing over time effect, depending on how much you did. So by buffing it 40% like this, you're also increasing the healing over time effect, right? So you could play Chrono Warden, Echo BE, and do a bunch of healing. And because the new talent for Chrono Warden also reduces the cooldown of TA, you can get even more echoes to echo your BE. That would be cool. But then Wings of Liberty is kind of bad, right? Because you're getting an extra charge, but as we discussed before, an extra charge is like not that good because you're not actually getting that much more usage out of the spell. So competing with a straight up increase, it's like kind of bad. And then it's also, before you even get to pick between those two, you have to question if you're gonna get the point to put into this node, because that is only if you end up echoing BE. But why would you end up echoing BE? Like Reversion is very strong because of Meritor's Blessing. DB is very strong because it has a lot of talents buffing it. Remember that because Calificero is now passive, it now echoes. So before, the main cast consumed Calificero and the echoes didn't got it, but now it's just a passive that is always active, so your echoes actually get Calificero. Same for Tempo Charge. Like, it used to be a buff to Dreambread, but now it's not. So the echo is just similar strength to the main cast, so you can echo Dreambread and it does a lot of healing. So you will need to be in a situation where you want to press Burden Embrace even more, which is unlikely because it's already a short cooldown and it's not like huge part of your healing. And have the point to put it down here. And also remember that even if your Burden Embrace heals for more, you're not getting more Consume Flame healing. The Consume Flame healing is just tied to the Dreambread and not to the Burden Embrace that procs it. So yeah. Inner Flame is here now. We're replacing the Oral Titan's Gift. This is our current 2-piece tier set, which means that for 15 seconds after casting Engulf, used to be Engulf with the tier set, you get an extra healing over time on your healing over time effects, right? So it's now tied to Stasis or Dreamflight, depending on which one you pick. If you pick Stasis, it lasts 15 seconds. If you pick Dreamflight, it lasts 20. And after you use your cooldown, you get 100%, no, 60% increased healing over time on your effects, an extra chance to proc Essence Burst, right? So if I use my Stasis to Stasis a bunch of Dreambread and spread them around, my Stasis gives me Inner Flame, which buffs the Dreambreads. If I get Dreamflight and fly over everyone, my Dreamflight gives me Inner Flame, which buffs the Dreamflight itself and any other DB and reversion I might have. So Inner Flame is pretty good. Another point here competing with stuff. Ouroboros is also very good because you're casting a bunch of Echoes and Blossoms now, so you're weaving them, so your Ouroboros is simply buffing Blossoms even more. So yeah, there's a lot of competition back here for very good talents. Like, everything is so good. So talents that seem good at the surface, like Titan's Gift, Time of Need, Energy Loop, even if you start running out of mana because we want haste more now, we don't have a lot of points here. So everything is very strong, but your choices have to be very tight because it's just hard. There's a lot of options, but yeah, not that many points. And you're always gonna be full specking into all your four points of your Apex talent, so you don't actually get extra points out here. So this is good actually, because having strong options that lead to a bunch of different potential builds, but you cannot just grab them all. It's a very healthy place for a talent tree to be. Like, if you look at this, you can take Icon Echo Reversion, I could Echo Burden Base, I could Echo Dreambread, I could spam Blossoms, I could spam TA, I could, bunch of different stuff. And it all, like, the talent tree lends itself to all those things working. So that's a very good place for a spec talent tree to be. Like, I think the bottom place of the tree is so good that we can ignore some dead talents here and there just because I think this is amazing. Like, so many options here, so many things you could possibly do, so many alternatives you can think of, the different playstyles and so on and so forth. Obviously, it's not gonna depend on tuning. Like, if Reversion ends up being super overtuned, we just full Meritor's Blessing, Grace Period, and Echo Reversion. If they buff Chrono Warden a bunch and we end up bringing Chrono Warden Echo in B, then we go into Dream Simulacrum and so on and so forth, right? But there's a lot of interesting stuff here that we can test and we can do, and this feels like very exciting to play with. So that is the current state of preservation right now on the Midnight Alpha. It's very, very different to what you know in life. Like they basically remade the spec, but they nailed it. Like they did very well. Like they cooked with the ideas they had, and they just baked out something amazing that feels like it's gonna be great to play. Obviously, still waiting for actual content to test this on, but very looking forward to that because this seems like it's gonna be very fun to play. Everyone's gonna have to decide for themselves because it is very different to what we're used to, and it's gonna take some time to adjust, especially considering that you're gonna have to adjust the new playstyles along with a new UI, most likely. But that's a kind of a separate topic, not here and there. So yeah, preservation is looking good. The playstyle is way tighter. It just feels better. It flows better, and the talents are just way more competitive to each other. So you're probably gonna see a bunch of different builds doing a bunch of different things and being that's great. If you have any questions or doubts or anything you want tested on the alpha or ask about how mechanics work, feel free to ask in the Evoker Discord, link in the description of the video. We do try to document every change and every interaction we find, but it's somewhat hard because things are changing every week, and sometimes they might not be documented. They simply change stuff, and we have to look out for it. So if you're not sure about something, feel free to ask about it. We're always open to like answering questions about how things work and how we think things are gonna end up playing. But yeah, if you like preservation as a spec and like the core of the spec of echoing stuff and planning your ramps and thinking of what to do ahead and just using your spells in a specific sequence that is very complex but also in a lot of healing, if you like that, you're gonna love the new preservation. It's a little bit different, but it's very good. And that will be all for now. Thanks for hanging out, and bye bye.